Mr. Chairman and delegates, I accept your nomination for President of the United States.
Since I seen your face.
Massachusetts governor accepted Republican presidential nomination.
I accept your nomination for President of the United States.
Last night, the candidates met face-to-face.
We know that the path we're taking is not working. It's time for a new path.
Do you think there's a reasonable chance that your husband could lose this election?
Absolutely not.
I went to a number of women's groups and said, can you help us find folks? And they brought us whole binders full of women.
I would just like to point out that we also have our binders.
Look, I think that both of these men are qualified to be president of the United States.
Politics is about choices.
I love these debates. You know, these things are great.
Many of the homes were simply incinerated.
Sad, it's hard, but I'm just glad to be here. I couldn't believe how much damage in just 5 seconds.
So show me family.
We've seen wind gusts north of 80 miles per hour.
Oh my gosh.
Look at this.
I don't know where I went wrong.
The largest storm ever to hit the United States.
The real fear here is that when Hurricane Sandy comes ashore, the water levels will rise even higher.
The power is still out on Wall Street.
The seawater that came over that wall has crippled lower Manhattan.
It's the worst thing that happened to this city, certainly since 9/11.
It's a major disaster in New Jersey. We're in the midst of rescuing hundreds of people.
It's all ruined down there. Every ounce of it ruined.
We'll rebuild it. No question in my mind, we'll rebuild it. But for those of us who are my age, it won't be the same.
Egypt's first free presidential election.
We've been talking to people and they say we have never had our own democratically elected president.
Morsi faces a power struggle with Egypt's military rulers.
They won't leave until President Morsi agrees to rescind the decree that has given him these sweeping new powers.
No one wants to see a civil war in Syria.
She's saying that all of the people of Syria are together as one.
We remain very concerned, very concerned.
People are out here every single night and they're demanding an end to the regime.
Hamas blesses the attack. Israeli forces attacked more targets in Gaza overnight.
Just after 2 a.m., there was this massive blast just outside the hotel that blew in the windows of my room.
U.S. Ambassador to Libya, Chris Stevens, and 3 other Americans on his staff were killed last night as protesters stormed the American consulate in Benghazi, Libya.
What do we know about the people behind the attack in Benghazi?
They're driven by a belief that the United States is engaged in a war with Islam.
Why did an American Army sergeant walk into an Afghan village and kill 16 civilians?
The Pakistani Taliban says it's not done with the 14-year-old girl that it tried to kill.
They cannot stop me. I will get my education if it is in home, school, or any place.
The SEAL, who calls himself Mark Owen, describes approaching bin Laden's room after the team had killed bin Laden's son, Khalid.
So after Osama bin Laden is wounded, he's still moving. You shot him twice?
A handful of times.
When somebody talks about the particulars of how those operations are conducted, it tells our enemies essentially how we operate.
Jerry Sandusky, the former Penn State assistant football coach, was convicted of sexually assaulting 10 boys over a 15-year span.
I've sat in a lot of trials in my life. This is the most graphic, disturbing, creepy kind of information I've ever heard.
Of the 6 felony charges, jurors acquitted John Edwards on 1 count, accepting illegal campaign contributions.
While I do not believe I did anything illegal, I did an awful lot. That was wrong.
This was a high-profile defeat. A case like this one had never been tried before.
Secret Service agents partied hard.
The government is investigating reports of unprofessional behavior.
The FBI uncovered evidence of an affair between Petraeus and his biographer, Paula Broadwell.
The retired Army general admits he was having an extramarital affair. His resignation happened so fast and unexpectedly, one senator said it was like a lightning bolt.
3 weeks after the shooting death of the 17-year-old, police have not arrested George Zimmerman.
You know, if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon.
We talked to Zimmerman's attorneys. Their contention is that Trayvon Martin attacked George Zimmerman.
I just have to say that my son was in fear for his life.
We're going to get to the bottom of exactly what happened.
911, where's your emergency? We just had a shooting at our school. We need to get out of here.
Officials in Chardon, Ohio say there was no reason why 17-year-old TJ Lane shot 5 other students.
He chose his victims at random. This is not about bullying.
No parent have to think about going to a funeral home, picking out a casket. What is that? Picking out a casket for your son?
We are following a mass shooting overnight inside a movie theater in Colorado.
They're saying somebody's shooting in the auditorium.
I saw a younger girl just laying there with bullet wounds, just bleeding.
Even in the darkest of days, life continues.
Right now, James Holmes is in solitary confinement in the Arapahoe County Jail directly behind me.
What will be remembered are the good people who were impacted by this tragedy.
A man opened fire at about 9:30 this morning in the Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut.
Evil visited this community.
The majority of those who died were children, beautiful little kids between the ages of 5 and 10 years old.
There's 20 parents that were just told that their children are dead. It was awful.
And all those families, I am so sorry. I am so sorry you have this to deal with.
She was the type of person that could just light up a room, and I'm so blessed to be her dad.
The quiet was deafening. Every second seemed like an hour. You just want it to be fake. Your mind keeps telling you that this is not real.
I think about the parents, but those teachers. I think about them all the time now.
I'm so proud to say that Victoria is my sister.
They put themselves between a guy with a rifle and the children.
Can we honestly say that we're doing enough to keep our children, all of them, safe from harm?
We've had a death in our family.
Should stay.
She's the greatest voice of all time.
I would only be in.
It's a real experience and the experience of a lifetime to be able to fly in space.
I'll go.
In storytelling, in the old Griffith show, by just telling the story of love.
The way.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
It's hard to believe that Mike is gone.
What is this?
This is 60 Minutes. Astonishing what you learn and feel and see along the way. That's why a reporter's job, as you know, is such a joy.
Oh, what a shot!
When you see that, what do you think?
Craziness, awesomeness.
The game ends here to the end zone.
For the second time in 4 years, Giant fans are celebrating and Patriot fans are crushed.
The Giants' second World Series win in 3 years.
Lynn puts it up. Bang! Jeremy Lynn!
The biggest story in sports right now.
Linsanity.
Linfational?
Lincredible.
I didn't know that you could turn Lynn into so many things.
You're the important golfer, Charlie, because you're really bad at it.
I got off to a slow start, but I knew that
It's just how she runs.
I can win the Australian, I can then win the French, then I can win Wimbledon, then I can win the US Open.
I say that every year.
and a standing ovation.
Miguel Cabrera made history.
The Triple Crown. Once in a generation might actually be underselling it.
Lance Armstrong's Tour de France victories were fueled by performance-enhancing drugs.
We got nothing to hide, we know that.
It was so nice of you to bring this for Charlie.
I just want to touch it at least.
Yeah, don't put your fingerprints on it.
the first U.S. gold since 1996.
Phelps won 2 more medals, making him the most decorated athlete in Olympic history.
Have you come down from the high yet? I'm still somewhere in the middle. It's madness right now. Chaos.
LeBron James captures that elusive title he so desperately coveted.
This right here is the happiest day of my life.
We know in our hearts that for the United States of America, the best is yet to come.
The crowd here in Chicago is going bananas.
There is just a sense of deflation and defeat in this room.
I so wish that I had been able to fulfill your hopes to lead the country in a different direction, but the nation chose another leader.
It's now whether President Obama decides to come into office, use this victory as an opportunity to make compromises with the Republicans.
We are not as divided as our politics suggests.
It's never too early to start talking about the next one.
We will continue our journey forward and remind the world just why it is that we live in the greatest nation on earth. Thank you, America. God bless you. God bless these United States.
On television, online, on the go, and now free on iPad. CBS News.
Happy New Year from all of us at CBS.